My name is John LaFronz. I'm the general manager here at Dollar Store Services. I've been here for about 20 years. We've developed since 1993 about 4,600 dollar type stores. We are the largest developer of independently owned dollar stores. Good evening, welcome in North America. And we develop stores throughout the United States, in the Caribbean, and worldwide. And again, we've been at this for a very long time, and we are the North America's largest developer of independently owned dollar stores. We have a store development program. It consists of 7 key services designed to get you open as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And they are we provide financing assistance, we provide site location assistance, we negotiate your lease agreement, then we provide a complete setup of the store, including all the fixtures, merchandise, signage, all the labor to put everything together, all the freight, everything to get there. We do comprehensive training, and as a store owner, you become part of our supplier network, which gives you incredible advantages, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. And then once you're open, you benefit from our long-term support, which goes on for the life of your business. We stay in constant contact with you and continue to provide you with new merchandise information, new supplier information, and I'll kind of explain a little bit more about each one of those services very. Starting with finance, once you come on board and complete your application, the first thing we do is, if you need financing, good evening, welcome. We review your credit profile with you, and you will know within 48 hours what financing you may qualify for and the terms of that financing as well. And then you make the decision as to whether or not you want to go forward. And there are a number of different programs. There are fixed rate, fixed term loans. There are business lines of credit. We have a company that can help you convert your IRA or 401k virtually cost free, so you can use those funds to fund your store. A lot of our owners also work with home equity and things of that nature. So there are many different ways to finance your store, and that's the first thing we discuss with you. Again, once you come on board, that's the first thing we do, and you'll know within 48 hours what's available to you. At that point, if you decide to go forward, then we move you into site location. We have an in-house real estate department where we have a staff of site locators and lease negotiators, and we'll start out by identifying the areas of interest for your store, and of course by then we'll know the size store that you are going to develop. We identify every location that's available in the area you've pointed out to us in the size range that you're looking, and then we provide to you once we may eliminate some locations because they don't really fit our broad guidelines. There may be a competitor too close, the rent may be too high to negotiate. Then every site that we believe has merit, we'll provide you with all the information. You'll have access to a private website that we have. It's called Easy Track. And on that website, you'll be able to see all the information about every location that is up for your review. All the population, competition, household income, ethnicity. So we identify every location. You have access to all that information, and then we'll ask you to visit those locations and give us your feedback, because you may see things we're not necessarily able to see. Is the shopping center well lit at night? Is it well maintained? And as we identify locations that you like and we like, we'll negotiate on every one of those. So when we're done, you will have the final set of terms on maybe 4 or 5 different locations. So at the end of the real estate and site location process, you'll have many choices on locations to choose from, and we will help you kind of compare and contrast one against the other so you can make the best business decision for yourself. At that point, once you've determined the location that you like and we've negotiated the lease, you execute the lease, and at that point, we're getting ready to develop your store. Good evening. So at that point, you move to our operations department where we schedule the store setup. We go through a checklist of about 80 items that are designed to help you establish your business, everything from getting your business licenses to fire inspections to getting the store ready. We work with you and your landlord to make sure everything's in place before you arrive. At that same time, you're working with our trainer, doing your training, which we do over the phone and online, and it's done at your pace, at your leisure. Then we set a scheduled date for us to arrive on site to open your store. Our build-out supervisor arrives on a Sunday evening, meets with you, walks the store. Monday morning, the truck carrying all the store fixtures and equipment arrives, and our crew is there to unload it. Monday afternoon, the merchandise starts arriving, and we're receiving it and stocking it as it hits the doors. We install all your interior signage, set up all the counters, the shelving units, the checkout, put slat wall on all the walls. All the interior signage goes up, and by Friday evening or Saturday morning, you are ready to open your store. It takes us 7 days from start to finish. As I say, we've been doing this for 25 years, and our store setup supervisors are extremely skilled. They send us daily progress reports and photographs so we can see where they are in the process. We could critique them each evening. In fact, I just finished doing that, and make whatever changes I think we need to make so that your store is as spot on as it can possibly be. Then, of course, now your store is ready to open. You've gone through your training, and as I mentioned earlier, you're going to receive the benefits of being part of our supplier network. Now, in our supplier network, we have over 80 suppliers scattered around the country. Some of them are what we call general merchandise suppliers, which will provide goods from a lot of different categories or for a lot of different categories. Others are specialty suppliers that may address merchandise in just one or two categories, like greeting cards or costume jewelry or gift bags, where they more specialize in those items. And within our network, because you're part of our group of stores, you will save 20 to 25% on merchandise every time you order, as opposed to what you would pay as an individual store owner going to that very same supplier and buying that very same item. Because we bring so much business, all of our stores do, to our suppliers that you get the lowest possible pricing, just as if you were part of a chain of stores, which in fact you are. Now keep in mind, we're not a franchise, so you never pay us any fees or royalties, but you get all the benefits that a franchise can provide. The complete store setup, the training, the favorable network pricing for your merchandise, and so on. And then, of course, the best long-term support available. We assign somebody, once you're open, to stay in contact with you for the first 3 to 4 months, virtually every day, checking in with you, helping you track your sales by category, helping you write reorders as need be. Most importantly, tracking your sales by category so we can see and you can see where your sales are coming from, because that will help us help you grow your business. For example, if you're doing a better than average job in hardware, better than we expect a store to do, we're going to help you expand that department and add more hardware items because you've got a great customer for it. And the same is true of every other category. The reverse is also true. If we see a department that's underperforming based on what we expect, we'll have you send us photographs of the department. We'll look at your ordering history with you, and we'll see if there's anything that can be addressed to make that department perform better. Sometimes we find that, and every store is a little bit different, and sometimes we find that you may just be a great hardware store and you're not such a strong health and beauty aid store for whatever reason. So when we find those things, we'll make the adjustments with you, help you adjust your merchandise mix to capitalize on what works really well and scale back what isn't working quite as well. That is our that is our program in a nutshell. One more thing I would like to mention very quickly about our lease negotiation. When we negotiate leases, we negotiate over 17 key provisions. All are designed to give you as much protection as possible. Some of them are things like we make sure that your space is compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act, so the restrooms are handicap accessible. That's important because if you sign a lease and you have your store and the restroom is not handicapped accessible, that can cost you $10,000 to $15,000 to retrofit the restrooms. So we want the landlord to bear that expense, not you. Other provisions that we negotiate are exclusive, so that no other dollar store could come into your center and compete with you. We also negotiate what's known as a dark clause, which means if the anchor tenant, if you have a grocery store, for example, in your shopping center, and that grocery store rather closes or moves, you have the ability to either get out of your lease, stay at a reduced rental rate, or suspend rent until they find a new anchor tenant to replace that one. We do everything we can to protect you. In merchandise, there are three key components, and I'm sorry to backtrack, but this is important. And those three components are value, variety, and new merchandise. And all three are key to your success. We provide value by us visiting each supplier at least once a month, hand selecting the best new items that they have available and negotiating the prices. The owner of our company and myself, we do that traveling and we visit those suppliers and we hand select those items. And if we have an item that we don't believe has the right value or we can't get to the right price for that item, you will never see it from us. Only items that have the best value, highest quality, and competitive pricing are items that you will see. Then the second leg is variety. We provide variety because we have so many suppliers available to you. And what that means for you, and I'll take a minute here. If you're in Chicago, for example, all the other independent dollar stores in and around you basically can only buy from suppliers close to them in Chicago. So they all have basically the same merchandise. In our system, because we have so many other suppliers and they have freight guarantees and freight caps and better pricing, you can buy from suppliers outside your market. You can buy from suppliers in the upper Midwest. You can buy from suppliers on the East Coast. You can buy from suppliers in Los Angeles. And you will have product in your store that no one else in your area will have. So it's a huge advantage. The other thing that our suppliers can provide to you with regards to variety is in our industry, most product comes packed in what's called a master carton, and that is 72 pieces or 144 pieces of one item. It's a lot of merchandise. If you buy a case of pizza cutters and there's 12 dozen of them, you're going to have pizza cutters for quite a while. Our suppliers, because of the volume of business that our stores do, will ship what's known as an inner pack in virtually all cases. So what that means to you is instead of having to buy 144 pizza cutters, you can buy only 12 or 24. So your product is constantly turning, and you don't have all that money tied up in that other 10 dozen pizza cutters. You can buy 6 other items and create more variety for yourself and for your customers. It's extremely important and a great benefit that comes through with our program. The last leg of the merchandise component is new merchandise, and this is critical. You know, it's easy to get caught in a trap of buying the same items over and over again, and you do want to replace your consumable items because those are the items that people buy each week and use up, just like you do and I do. Paper towels, snack foods, shampoo, things like that. But all the other items in your store, in fact, as much as 50% of the items that you carry in your store, you should never rebuy. You should always replace them with something new, and I'll give you a quick example. When I go into a dollar store, and I did this a week or so ago, I went in and I had six or seven items that I intended to buy. I picked up paper towels, toilet tissue, I think a bottle of conditioner, and if you could see me, vanilla wafers, very important to me. So I had those 5 or 6 items that I came in. So I buy those 5 or 6 items that are on my shopping list that I intended to buy. Then I started to look around, and I picked up there's a really nice table runner. So I picked that up, and I put it in my cart, and I was back in the auto department, and there was these man-made chamois, and my chamois was pretty beat up, so I bought one of those. And I picked up a couple of toys for my grandkids, and before I knew it, my ticket was $15 or $16 because now I was buying items that I didn't know I needed, but the perceived value on those items was so good that I bought them. Now, when I go back next week, I'm going to need those consumables, the paper products and so on, but the table runner's still there. I don't need another one. The chamois is working just fine. It'll be a while before I need one of those, and my grandchildren's toys are still just fine. So that store owner needs to show me. So that store owner, if he shows me something new in home decor or in auto care or in the toy department that I didn't see before last time I was in, now I'm going to be a customer for those items again. And that's why adding new merchandise is so important, so important. And our staff will work with you week in and week out. You're going to receive information on literally hundreds of new goods items each and every week from us directly and from our suppliers. And we will help you select which items are best for your store based on where your sales are coming from. So I just wanted to kind of backtrack and touch on the merchandise piece because it is so important. And now what I'd like to do is take about 10 minutes to talk about what's going on in our industry, and then I'll kind of open up the floor at that point. And I appreciate everybody's patience. I did want to say, or just remind you all, that we did have an incentive for you attending this evening. If you do ultimately decide to go forward and fill out an application or deposit, and the application can be done in about 10 minutes with your representative here in our office, and the deposit is $500, and it is fully refundable for any reason. If you don't go forward, you decide not to get financing, whatever those things might be, at any point in the process, you can say stop and ask for your refund, and we'll come right back to you. If you ultimately develop a store, that $500 becomes part of the purchase price of the store, so you will never lose it. And because you're attending the teleseminar, if you do an application deposit and then end up opening a store with us, which I hope that you do, you'll get $2,000 in free merchandise added to your store package. So that's a nice little advantage just for putting up with me for an hour or so. I want to talk for a couple of minutes about what's going on in our industry. Right now, getting open for fall and Christmas is a great advantage if you're in a position to do that. And starting now will get you in a position to do so. It takes us about 30 days or so from start to finish to get your store through the process and ready to open, a little bit longer sometimes. But it'd be nice if you could be open to take advantage of back to school, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. And I'll say this, there's never a bad time to open one of our dollar stores because the industry is booming, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But right now is an especially great time if you're positioned to go forward. There are some excellent advantages to doing so right now. So what's going on with dollar stores? Last year we had as a country, I guess as a world, we had, I guess, what you might call an interesting year. Merchandise in our world, merchandise was hard to find. There was a lot of frustration. People going to the grocery stores and so on couldn't find the items they needed. What shoppers found, is that dollar stores we're never out of product that the grocery stores were out of, that Target was out of. So they came to us, even though we have a huge customer base and it grows every year. This last year, people found that the dollar stores had paper products. They had sanitizer. They had the masks and the other PPE items that people needed and had to have. So we found a whole new crop of customers, and the business just blossomed like never before. Going into last year, it was a $60 billion business. When everything is tallied, they estimate it's going to be for 2020 over $68 billion spent in dollar stores, and the industry is just continuing to grow. There was a survey that I read a few weeks ago where they surveyed customers of grocery stores, and they asked them a number of questions. One of them was about how they felt the grocery stores had treated them during the pandemic. And the survey showed that over 70% of the people who were surveyed said they felt that the grocery stores had price gouged them and were continuing to do so. And if you're a regular shopper like I am, that is absolutely true. Meat's high, paper's high, cleaners are high, everything's way high. So people have a bad taste in their mouth about grocery stores in general. The other thing they found is that the most important things to shoppers were convenience, and guess what? Price. So what do dollar stores deliver to customers day in and day out? They're convenient. You can get in and get out quickly. You can find the merchandise you're looking for. And of course, they're going to be the lowest price provider you are on every item that you carry. And nobody's going to have that merchandise for less money than you. So people are seeing this more and more. CNN reported 2 weeks ago that this year there will be more dollar stores opened than all other types of retail stores combined. So you want to be part of that. The business is just incredibly blossoming. Uh, Last year, just use an example, Dollar General, because they published their numbers. They had the best year in the history of their company. Their stock price was the highest it's ever been in the history of their company. Uh, the second quarter last year, which was at the height of the pandemic, they had the largest year-over-year sales increase. They're up over 22% from 2019. And dollar stores across the board saw those same types of numbers. What else is that's going on right now that is incredible? Again, the demand for product is high. We are out of the pandemic for the most part, though I know some states are a little behind the curve. Unemployment has been dropping week after week, and the jobs reports have been up week after week. Consumer spending has been up for the last 2 months. People are still sitting on, they estimate, almost $1 trillion in stimulus cash that they got that they just haven't spent. All that pent-up demand is going to be out there in the marketplace very soon, and dollar stores are going to benefit in large measure from that. Great locations are available now. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, a lot of businesses that were on the margin were forced to close. They couldn't survive. What that does for you and potential store owners is it opens up many more great locations. Landlords are anxious to find good quality tenants to fill those spaces. And they know that the dollar stores are pandemic proof. Our stores didn't have to close like so many other retailers did because they were considered to be essential businesses. All the stores have kind of aligned right now in terms of opening dollar stores. I want to touch briefly, and then we'll get to the Q&A. We developed several different types of stores. We have a dollar only store, which is like a Dollar Tree. We do a dollar plus store, which would be similar to a Family Dollar or Dollar General, where you have mixed prices. And then we have a brand new format. We've been doing it for about 6 months now, a little bit longer. Extremely popular. It's our 1 2 3 store, where everything sells for $3 or less, and approximately half the items in the store sell for $1. And what we learned is that Dollar General, even though they have items, if you shop their stores, they have items that sell for 10, 15, $20. Where they do their business, the bulk of their business is between $1 and $3 and $1 and $5. So what we did, we took the absolute best dollar items available, and approximately half of our 1 2 3 store consists of those items. Then the balance of the store, again, we took the absolute best products that are available to sell between $1 and $3, and that makes up the balance of your store. So it's a very powerful engine for sales. You have the magic of the dollar only pricing that brings people in, and then you have the ability to offer them expanded choices in virtually all categories. And that store is going to be totally unique in whatever market you're in. There's really nothing like it out there. So I'm very excited about that. We're getting a very nice reaction to it. We've developed a number of stores thus far and more on the way. I know it's going to be a very busy year in our office. We've probably got 40 or 50 projects that we're working on in real estate right now, and the interest continues to be very strong. So with all that said, I appreciate you giving me the time to get some of that information out there. And now what I'd like to do is kind of open it up to questions. What I would ask you is to just be considerate of the other folks that are on the line. I know it gets difficult because everybody is going to want to speak at the same time. So please just don't speak over each other. I'll try and help you keep it as orderly as possible. And I'm looking forward to your questions. So who wants to kick it off?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing good. I just had a quick question.
Yes.
Now, I have an LLC. And I was wondering, once I get the business up and running, would I be able to put the business under my LLC and not on my personal credit?
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. You just file a DBA, a doing business as. Now, depending on the lenders, you may or may not be able to get funding under the LLC. You might have to do that as an individual, but certainly can establish the business under the existing LLC.
So let's say if I get the funding under the individual, and 6 months down the line, I want to put the business under the LLC. Is that feasible?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, that can be done. What was your name, sir?
This is Frank.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you have questions, give me a call. Very good. Next question?
Yeah, okay, my name is Baba. I'm calling from Alberta, Canada.
Oh, very good.
I just want to know, what plan do you have for Canadian store owners? Because I'm actually very much interested in having one for a store here in Canada.
Very good. No, and absolutely we can develop stores in Canada. We have some suppliers in Canada. We've got a lot of suppliers in the northern tier, just south of the border, and they're very accustomed to shipping across the border. There's a little bit of an add-on because of the duty going into Canada. Not very significant, but it is there. And you would be a dollar plus type store in Canada. It's very hard to do a dollar only store. But no, absolutely, we can do that for you. So if you have more specific questions, you can always call your rep or you can call me. My number and my email, I wanted to mention this too, we're both on the email that you got, the invitation, and also on any text messages that you might have gotten. So feel free to call your representative if you have their contact, or you can, and that should have been in the emails too, or you can always call me.
I got a question.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Ernst. I'm calling from Florida.
Yes, sir.
What capital that you gotta have or assets, and also can you add your like different products it's in terms of adding like certain categories if you have a store? How much involved, and also the repayment process? How long does it take to start repaying the loans if you 100% finance?
Okay, all good questions. I'll take the first one first. Depending on your credit profile, you may qualify for 100% financing, including working capital. In which case, you'd have to bring nothing to the table. Um, if you want to say you qualify for enough funding to do a 2,000 square foot store, and you want to go a little bit larger, and you have some funds you want to add to that, certainly you're able to do that as well. But very often we can secure 100% financing, including working capital, and you really don't need to apply any funds of your own. The second question was regarding merchandise, and yes, you can add any merchandise to your store that you like. We're not a franchise, and we don't handcuff you in terms of having to buy from certain suppliers. You can buy from whomever you choose. You can add whatever type of merchandise to your store that you choose, and a lot of people do that. Because you may have local suppliers, you may be in an area where maybe souvenirs are important to you, or ethnic products, food products, or hair care, or whatever those things might be. So you have no restrictions on that at all. And one other thing I might want to, if it's okay, and I'll get to your third part of your question in a second. But one thing I did want to touch on is that you can take the stores in whatever direction you choose, and we have a lot of programs that you can add to your store either when you open or after you open to increase revenue for you. For example, you can add the ability to take EBT cards, the food stamp cards, and we train you on how to do that, which is a nice advantage because once you qualify for that, a person with an EBT card can basically shop every item in your store. So that's a great item. Um, we work with Coke and Pepsi to put coolers in your store at no charge as long as you buy their product. We have a program now where you can add some mail services. You can accept mail, rent mailboxes, things like that. Some of our stores do Amazon drop-offs, things of that nature. Um, there's no shortage. We have a program where you can custom print banners in your store while the customer waits. And the list goes on and on. And then some of our stores add beer and wine, some add tobacco products, some add lottery. Um, Notary services are very profitable. It's very hard to find a notary, and the cost is to you is negligible. You take a class, you get a little bit of extra insurance, and you can be a notary. And every time you sign something for somebody, it's $10, $15, $20. So we work with you to expand what you offer, and you have, as you say, you have the ability to add anything you want to your store. Um, Great question, thank you. The third part of your question, I think, was on the paying back of the loan. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you own the store 100% after it sets, and then the loan, the repayment, and time period.
Yeah. Well, each depending on the terms of the loans you have, it's different. Generally, fixed rate, fixed term is usually about 7 years, I believe, and they do vary a little bit. Um, and then you own the store 100%.
So how, so
Question.
how, oh,
Yes. Next question.
Yes,
Go
I
ahead.
have a question. Regarding in Florida, do you guys have already site in place?
Do we have sites available?
Yes. How do you assess sites in Florida, especially
Okay.
like in Orlando area?
Okay. The way that process works is once we go to work for you, we don't have sites ready and waiting because we never know where our next potential store owner is going to come from. But we work obviously in all areas of the country. So when you would come on board and move over to real estate, we initially assign a site locator and a leasing manager to work with you in our office, and they will start identifying again every available location. We'll eliminate the ones that don't fit our parameters, and then everything else will be loaded up onto a website for your review. Um, and we very rarely, which I think this is at the heart of your question, we very rarely have difficulty finding good locations and negotiating favorable rents. Every once in a great while, we might be in an area where there's just not a lot available and may hit a wall. But in Central Florida, I don't see any issues at all. We're probably working with 3 or 4 clients up and down the state of Florida right now, and lots of good locations available.
My second question is regarding merchandise when you set up the store. do we have an option what we want in our stores, or something that's already been done by dollar store?
No, actually, and
Select.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, great question. I didn't touch on that earlier. The way that process works is when we're ready to start to create the merchandise orders for your store, this is exactly what happens. Our merchandise manager and trainer, they will have all the information about your store location at that point. They'll know everything there is to know about it. If you're in a shopping center, who the co-tenants are, who the anchor tenant is, if there is one, uh, who the competitors are and where they are. As part of the process, you'll have a map uploaded for each and every location showing where the competition is, so you know. Uh, they'll also have all the demographic information, the ethnicity, population of 1, 3, and 5 miles, and you will have, of course, this as well. The household income, percentage of owned homes to rented homes, traffic, everything you could possibly imagine. So they'll have all that information. Then they'll get on the phone with you, and they'll talk through any special needs that you may have identified that we may not be aware of. For example, are there a number of schools close by, or are there some senior communities close by? Because that's always going to skew the merchandise. Or you may want to really focus on certain categories of merchandise. Maybe there's a lot of women going to that area. You may want to expand the costume jewelry offerings and things like that. So they'll have those conversations with you. Then, with all that information in hand, they will sit down and they'll write a recommended set of orders. Then they will send those orders to you, and you and the merchandise person will review them together, and you can make any additions, changes, deletions that you would like to make. Every set of orders that we do for every store that we develop is custom written for that store because every market's different. Uh, so then again, to just kind of recap, yes, you will have full autonomy to approve everything that's going to go into your store, challenge anything that you want to challenge, and then we finalize the orders once we've gone through that whole process.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
question.
It's a good question.
Question.
Yes, there was a young lady there. Go
Hello?
ahead. Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Yes. How much is your 1,500 square foot dollar store?
Okay. The dollar only store?
Yes.
Okay. It starts at, $93,900. And again, that includes everything.
Okay, thank you.
Fixtures, merchandise, labor, site location, financing, everything. All those 7 services that I talked about earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And
I have a question.
Okay,
So what the,
1 second, sir. All of our pricing and what's included in the prices are all up on our website, so feel free to visit that anytime. DollarStoreServices.com. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is
so what's
Aris. I'm calling from Glendale, California.
What was your name again, sir? I'm sorry.
Aris?
Ari. Okay, very good. Go ahead.
A-R-I-S. Aris, yeah. So my question is, let's say we go with 100% financing. Is it still going to be profitable for the owner to go with 100%? And like how much we're looking at, let's say we go with $100,000?
How much is what are the interest rates? Is that what you're asking?
Like the monthly payment.
That's a little bit out of it's a little bit out of my wheelhouse in terms of whatever answer I give you is going to be incorrect, only because there are different loan programs, and the interest rates are going to vary and so on. What I can tell you though, and it's a very good question. Obviously, you don't want to go in this business to not make money. As part of our process, when we're in real estate, when we get to the final set of numbers on a specific location, where we know what the rent is, how the landlord's going to deliver the space, how much free rent you're going to be getting, and everything about the location and the general area as well, I can sit down with you, and I do this as a matter of course, and I will do kind of an estimated P&L for that specific location. And then we'll plug in the loan payments, because at that point we'll know what your potential loan program is going to look like. I'll plug all that in, and we can sit back and look at it, because obviously we don't want you to sign a lease if it's not going to be profitable for you. So that's part of our process. So that all happens before you ever make that final decision to put your name on the lease. And we do that every day. Yeah, absolutely, because it's the most important thing. Okay, good. Thank you. Good question.
So what does it?
Yes, sir.
what does your credit score need to be in order to get 100% financing? And then also, do you guys is there help with money? Okay, let's say for example, if we need money to be able to pay like for the lighting and payroll for the first 3 months until our store gets busy or make money.
Okay, good question. Good questions. Um, Let me take the second part of the question first. Um, Before you ever move to real estate, what we do is we complete a worksheet. It's called a finance real estate worksheet. But what it is we know what size store you want to develop, and we know where you are geographically. So on that worksheet, we put the cost of the store, and then we estimate the other funds that you may need for the things that you just mentioned. Uh, as part of your working capital, some startup funds, funds to cover the cost of your business license and other things, utility deposits and so forth. And we estimate all those expenses, and we estimate them high. We want to make sure that before we start work for you in real estate, we don't want you to be in a place where you find a location and then you don't have enough funds to actually go forward. It would be no good for you.
Yeah.
So we do that. So just to use round numbers for just a minute, if we say you're going to do 1,000 square foot dollar store at 76.9, we would probably estimate that you would need another $15,000 or so on top of that for those other expenses, and we'd make sure that your loans would cover that before we ever had you start working real estate. Because we want to make sure that you're comfortable. Because at the end of the day, we don't want you to be concerned. Gee, am I going to have enough to pay my payroll? Am I going to be able to keep the lights on? You know, that's not the way
Yeah.
to go into business. We want to make sure that you're positioned to be successful in that regard. The other thing I would say is that one thing that's great about the dollar store business is the stores establish themselves very quickly. Um, it all comes down to having a good location. A lot of businesses, people, they take a while because people have to first they have to see you. Say, oh, there's a new store there. Good evening, welcome, welcome. There's a new store there, and then they have to figure out what you do. What does that business do? And then they have to have a need for what that business does. So the magic with the dollar stores is that they see it, the customer sees it, everybody knows what you do, everybody knows what you have, and they need your merchandise today. So the time to establish the store and build a customer base is very, very
Yeah.
short. Very, very short. It just comes down to having that right location so people see you. And then I think the
Yeah.
front part of your question had to do. Help me with that. I kind of lost it for a second. Um, had to do with
Damn.
Credit score.
Lost myself. Listen.
credit score. Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
your
Yeah.
credit score for like 100% financing, and
Typically
then
around.
also like training.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. The second part was.
Now, I was saying what your credit score needs to be as far as to be able to qualify for 100% financing, and then also you answered the one question, but like training, when you guys come and help train, how long does the training last?
Okay, all good questions. The credit score, it's not only the credit score, it's the depth of the credit. I had someone the other day I was talking to, and the credit score was high. It was like 750, really good score, but it was all brand new. So lenders look at both. They look at the credit score and they look at the history. If you're around 700, you should be just fine. And if you're a little off the mark for a lender, several of our lenders do credit repair either inexpensively or sometimes for free if it's minimal. And sometimes it's as simple as getting one or two items removed from your credit or reducing your debt to income ratio. Um, there are ways to adjust that. But as I say, we'll know if you decide to get started, do your application. We'll know within 48 hours what you qualify for and what the terms are. And if there's something you need to do with your credit, we'll know what that is as well.
So is there a hard pull?
No, good question. No, all the inquiries are soft pulls. They don't impact your credit score at all. What they do is they have you open. It's an account. It's called Credit Check Total, which you may or may not be familiar with. Um, but
Yeah.
basically, what that is, it allows the lender to see your credit, but it doesn't impact it at all.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you've ever gone shopping for a car or something, you know what that can look like if if they do hard pulls. It's
Yeah, I
terrible.
don't know hard pull.
Yeah, I don't blame you. No, I mean, every time they do that, it can be 5, 10, 12 points off your score. So no, they don't do that at all.
But I'm saying, but with the training, do y'all teach how to run the cash register? Do we need to open? Do y'all show how much did you pay your employees? How much need to be in the cash register when the store opens?
Yes, yeah. We believe me, we cover everything. I think in the training manual alone, there's probably 30 different topics, but we cover everything from how to physically operate your store, how to have a clean face every day, and then all the bookkeeping functions, how to hire and train and remediate people, how to advertise for people, how to do cash audits. There's a lot of time spent on security and promoting your store to your customer base. It's very very extensive and it's ongoing. Even after you're open, we continue to address things with you. Um, how do you set up for your grand opening? There's just so much. And you might have been on, maybe not on the call at the beginning, but we do the training online and over the phone. So you have those online modules available to you at any time. You want to go back and refresh, things like that. But yeah, we spend a lot of time in all the different facets of store operation because our owners come to us from many different backgrounds. Sometimes we may have
Yeah.
somebody that's owned a business, but they've never been in the retail business. So then we focus on more on certain aspects of our business. If they've been in retail but they've never owned a business, we may spend a little bit more time focusing on the management part of the business because that's where
Yeah.
they need the most help. Yeah, so it's very very personal and very custom.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. What's the likelihood though? Because I'm trying to see if this is the best fit for me because I don't know if I would get qualified for a loan because I just purchased a house within 6 months and then I got the house loan and then I bought a brand new car and opened up a few credit cards. So my score did take a big hit, but it's easing back up there. So
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's a good fit for me to get. I don't think they'll even give me a loan.
Well, the only way to find out is to put your toe in the water. And as you say, those things impact your credit score in the short term. But as you said, they tend to come back pretty quickly because they're not derogatory.
Right.
They're at all.
Exactly.
They're just items that change your debt to income ratio a little bit. So what they'll do is they may look at your overall picture and they may say, you need to pay down these credit cards $500 to get you under this level that you need to be to qualify for funding. So they're very astute at how they do it. So I would say if you're not sure, you know, do an application deposit. We'll know within 48 hours, and then you can make the decision. And it may be that you have to wait 30 or 60 days for that credit score to adjust itself. But that
So
happens.
would I have to pay the deposit again or?
No. We'd either refund it to you and you could come back, or we just leave it in place for 60 days and then rerun everything. Whatever you
Oh, okay.
direct
So
us to do.
deposit is refundable?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's 100% refundable at any time, right up to the point that you sign
Okay.
your lease. And when you sign your lease, that deposit becomes part of the purchase price of the store, so you never lose it.
Okay, great. And the second part of my question was, what about cash? Am I able to do a all cash deal?
Absolutely.
Do you do those with cash, or like if you had half of the 97,000?
Yeah, very often. A lot of we have a number of clients at any given time that can totally self-fund. Maybe they sold their home and they've got a lot of equity. In fact, I'm working with someone right now that is exactly that way. Or they've set some money aside and they can get a loan for, say, $100,000, just to use numbers, and they have another 40 in cash that they want to put towards the project rather to get a little bit larger store. Sure, any number of ways. We even have people that have gotten a loan, had some cash they wanted to apply, and then they had a 401k that they could access they would take some money from that to get a little bit larger footprint store. It's whatever direction you want to take is what we can do.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Good questions. Appreciate it. Next
So
question.
do you guys have like a business plan?
What was that, sir, about a business plan?
Yes. That I can take to the bank if I need to get more
Yes.
finances?
Yeah, that's part of our process, and we do it at no charge for you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
My name is Pam, and I'm
Yeah.
also calling from Canada as well.
Very good.
I've had a contact with David, and he's giving me some information about the work in Canada. I just want to clarify.
Yes.
Because you're just moving into Canada, do you think we might have financing for Canadians who wants to open store in Canada? That's my first question.
Okay.
And the second question would be, if I can, I know this may be difficult to know, and it may be specific or relative, but just giving us like an idea of what would you say is like the break-even time duration for anyone who opens a store in relation to Canada anyway. And if you have any stores open, I just want to have an idea of how far work has been done in Canada, for example.
Okay. Good questions all. With regards to financing, unfortunately, no, we do not have any lenders that can work in Canada right now. The Canadian lenders have proven to be difficult. However, we can provide you with business plans and whatever support you need to apply for business loan in Canada, like from Scotia or one of the banks there. And Canada also has a small business loan program, which is similar to SBA here in the States. And again, we can provide you with whatever documentation that you would need to make those applications and hopefully be successful. But unfortunately, we don't have any relationships with lenders in Canada right now, but we're working on that. As far as the break-even, as I mentioned a minute ago, the stores tend to establish themselves very quickly, whether here or overseas, pretty much anywhere. People know what they are. Most stores tend to start generating a profit certainly within 90 days. Keeping in mind, too, that when we negotiate a lease, we're normally able to secure anywhere from 2 to 4 months of free rent. So during that period that you're establishing your business and your customer base, most often you don't have a rent factor for that first 3 or 4 months. So that's a nice advantage. But I would say, you should be in the black, generating a nice profit, certainly within 90 days, perhaps a touch longer, but certainly not much longer than 90 days, and sometimes much sooner. We have stores that ramp up very, very quickly. Does that hopefully answer your question? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, go ahead.
The question I have, what do you have for, is this, I guess, different loan, like program, that may be, beneficial to like minorities? Do you know anything about any programs? Like women, African American or, in terms of loans?
The lenders that I'm familiar with do not. However, I know that many local banks will have such programs, so it's always worth taking a look at. And sometimes, too, depending on where you are, a lot of areas have what's known as enterprise zones, where there are incentives for people to open businesses within those areas, because maybe they're underserved in terms of retailers, things like that. So it's always good to check with city fathers where you are, and also with local lenders, because often there are those programs that are established to establish certain groups. So absolutely should always look at that. Our lenders are more mainstream, and unfortunately, they don't have those types of programs, but I know they are available.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if I wanted to get the application started, where would I go? Because I'm on the page right now, and I don't see a place that says application.
The online application is extremely difficult to navigate. what I would suggest is, do you know who your representative is here in our office?
I think it would be in my, will it be in my text message or the email that I received?
It should absolutely be at the bottom of the email. And I would just call that
Okay,
person, and they can do it on the phone with you. It'll take no more than 10 minutes. It's
okay,
absolutely, yeah, it's absolutely the best way. And then if you have any last minute questions, they can always address them for you at that time as well. That would be my
okay.
suggestion. It's much better. Our IT people are trying to fix this application, but it's been so cumbersome. It is absolutely quicker just to do it on the phone.
And so in order, you said something about, if after listening to this seminar, if we sign up, then, we can get $2,000 worth of product if we go forward. Is that valid like only tonight?
No, no, it's not. If you do and it was in the email, I apologize, I should have mentioned that. As long as you do
No,
your
it's okay.
application deposit before this coming Wednesday, I think it's the 16th.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's fine. What was your
Okay.
name, ma'am?
My name is Nicole.
Well, very good. Yeah, reach out to whoever's on your email. My number is
Yeah.
on. I know it's on the email and the text as well. Feel free to call me if you have questions.
Are you Bruce?
No, I'm John. Bruce.
Okay, so I have
Bruce is
Bruce.
the good-looking
Okay.
one. I'm the smart one. No. Don't ever tell him I said that. But
I won't. All right, thank you very much.
thank you. You have a great evening. Thanks for coming in.
You too. Thank you.
Other questions?
Hey,
Yeah,
John,
I
this
have a
is
quick
Boris from
question.
Glendale again.
Hold on a second. Can we let the young lady go first?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So my name is Victoria, and I just want to know. I know this stuff sells for $1. Let's just say it's at a dollar store. What is the margin for when these purchases are made, and then what is the difference in pricing? Like I'm sure there's differences depending on the item, but in your experience, what is from the cost and the sale of these items? What is the price difference?
Good question. In a dollar only store, the average cost of goods is going to be about 54 cents, 55 cents. And that's the average across the store. Some categories of merchandise, the cost factor is a little bit higher. Others, it's much lower. So you want to run a balanced operation and make sure you're buying across all the categories, and then it's very easy to achieve that average cost week in, month in of that 54 cents. And that gives you a gross margin on product of 45 to 46%. Very strong for a dollar type store. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Yes, sir, that you had a question?
Yes. So, Boris from Glendale again. So, how do you see? Like, I got a full-time job and I want to open a store. How do you see that? Is it gonna work? I mean, we need to have an employee, right?
Yeah, you'd need to. It kind of comes down to the size store. A 1,000 square foot store. Uh, it's very possible that you can have an employee or employees to run that store, and you could keep your job until you may decide that. Of course, your profits obviously are going to be lower because you have to pay more salary. But sometimes that's a nice way to transition into working the business full time. Let the business establish itself, get a good feel for the process. You don't need a high-powered person, really, just somebody that's reliable. Uh, Pay the minimum wage or slightly above. Um, Larger stores, it's easier to be more absentee because you have more sales volume, you have more profits. It's easier to support the extra salary. But yeah, it's certainly doable. And what we would do as a matter of course, as I mentioned earlier, is when you get to where we know what that store's rent is going to be and we know the potential for revenue and so on, I'll put together a worksheet and we'll plug in all those wages, and we can sit back and look at it and say, yeah, this can work. I can still generate a nice net for myself and uh, not devote a lot of time to the store. Or you may look at it and say, that's just a little too tight for me. I think I'll wait, or I don't want to go forward with this, and that's fine. That's part of what we do. So
Thank you.
very good. Thank
I
you.
have a question.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I have do dollar store $1 2 3 has a benefit program, program that can be implemented to owners?
We do not, unfortunately, but what a lot of our owners do, um, in most cities, most counties, the chamber
Hello.
of, the Chamber of Commerce has a program for small business owners where you can become part of a group. They establish a group for small business owners with a couple of different insurers, so you can take advantage of that. But yeah, unfortunately, we do
I
not. Good question, though. Thank you. Next question. Do we have any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, give me a second. So, suppose you get into the store and I say a couple months down the line or a year or so, you feel that it isn't for you. Are you like tied to it, or how would that work?
Well, obviously you have a lease, um, and sometimes that does happen. It's pretty rare, but it does happen. Or sometimes things in somebody's life change, and creates a situation where they really can't devote the time to the store. Usually the best option is the store's doing well, put it up for sale, and you find a good owner to purchase, and you move on. But
Do
other
you
than that,
guys already have? Sorry.
no, it's okay. But you are, once you sign a lease, you're obligated for the term of the lease. Now, sometimes there may be an opportunity to step out of the lease, uh, with maybe a minor penalty and a couple months rent or whatever that might be. The landlord may let you walk away from the lease, but it's always better to sell the store because you've got a going business. If you just decide to void the lease, then you've got the merchandise, you've got the fixtures and equipment and so on. You would have to liquidate. Always better to sell it if you can, and most often that's the best route.
So I have another question.
Yes,
I
go
know we
ahead.
were talking about the credit situation. So once you approve, will they report on your personal credit? For whatever you borrow.
In most cases, yes, it will be on your personal credit. There may be a couple minor exceptions, but in most cases, yes.
Okay. All right. I guess that's basically it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. All good questions. Any other questions? Okay. If
I
there are no
believe
other,
somebody had some in the chat too. I don't know if you answer any of them, but I think someone was texting in the chat.
yeah, I don't have the access to it now, but I will do it either later tonight or in the morning. I'll get those answers back out. So no worries. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, again, I thank everyone for your time. I appreciate it. I know everybody's busy, and it was a long day, longer for some of us than others. Um, and I'd remind you one
Well,
more
I
time.
have a question.
All right. Okay. You
Uh,
made it. What's up?
yeah. Yes. Say for instance, if two two people going in together, or say if the individual credit when they run it, it's not up to standard. Can you use the other person
Yes.
uh,
Yeah, absolutely. And
to
often
credit
we have,
for you?
yeah, no, it's a good question. And often we have partners, and sometimes one partner may be the funding partner, and the other one may be uh, just an operating partner. Yeah, that happens often, and that's fine.
Oh, great, great. Okay. Let me see now. Yeah, one more last question. You said that in reference to partner. Um, can someone have a partner from another country? I mean, but but then they wouldn't have a social security, right?
Yeah,
To run,
really,
right?
really, to get the funding, you have to have a social security number.
Right, right, right. Okay.
Good
All right.
So
question.
I
Yes, I
had
have
one
a
more
question.
question.
Yes, go ahead.
So typically, I know everybody's different, but how long does it normally take before you can actually see profit? Is it sometimes I've heard that it can take like a year before you can actually see your profit. So
In our business, as I might have mentioned earlier, the stores tend to establish themselves pretty quickly. In most cases, I would look for a store to start showing a profit or be in the black within 90 to 120 days, certainly. They establish themselves very quickly.
Okay. I have a question.
Good question. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yes. Concerning the partner, you sometimes find people who ask you to find a partner for them, like
It's an interesting question. We actually tried to establish a program like that some years ago, but it was not at all successful because people tend not to want to partner with people that they don't know. I thought it was a great idea.
yeah.
I thought it was a great idea, but I have a lot of great ideas that aren't so great.
Yes.
But
I
that was
agree.
a problem
agree.
there. In fact, even we went so far as to say, if we had two prospective owners who were in the same city or the same town, and
Yes.
either one of them couldn't quite get enough funding, but they were close, we said, well, let's introduce these two people. Maybe they could get together. But and I would be hesitant too. Partnerships with people that uh, can work very nicely, but with somebody that you don't know, the lesson I learned is that it doesn't work. But a good question nonetheless.
Yes.
Years ago, I had a partner that I did know, and it didn't work. So, any other questions?
If you're lucky, you can. If you are lucky, you can find a good person.
You're right, and there's so many good ones. But
There's so many, but
you have to have good relationship, and sometimes good friends make bad partners. Family members sometimes can be good partners, and sometimes not. So you're right. Everyone is an individual situation, and you got to feel your way.
yes. Somebody asked you about if the business don't work for them, about if they can sell it.
Yes.
So if we are selling, something happened, and we want to sell, can you help us to find people?
Often we can. We can. That's happened a number of times. Where somebody, in fact, sadly, about 6 months ago, we had a store owner that her husband died, and she just, her heart wasn't in the business anymore. So we were able to. What we do is we go to our database of people that we're talking with that were in her area, and we're able to match up with somebody that wanted to get into the business, and we're able to put them in contact with each other and work out, So certainly we can try and do those things.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. What about the workers? Like, if we have people working with you, can you suppose you want to give them health insurance? All that work?
You can certainly do it if you choose. We don't have very many stores that do that because now with the Affordable Care Act and so forth, people can get insurance fairly inexpensively. So it's not like it was not too many years ago where a lot of employers offered insurance. It's just available now for people. So I'm sure there are programs. I'm not familiar with them because, as I say, in the last few years, it hasn't been really that much of an issue.
Because sometimes you have a business, you like to help your workers, and that makes them, dedicate to what they are doing, and you want them to be nice to you, and you want to be nice. When I say nice, that means
you want to be
really care about the business.
Well, one thing you can do.
Because.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Because sometimes you go to this business place, you can see that the people who work there, they don't care. It's like they're not for the owner.
Yeah, and you're right. You can
they're
really feel
not happy. You like to make your worker happy.
Sure. And one thing you can always do, if you have somebody, say you have somebody that has insurance through one of the government programs, you can always offer to say, maybe it costs them $200 a month. You can always offer to pay them a portion of that. which is a nice little incentive. As long as you're working for me, if your insurance costs this, I will pay you
Mhm.
an extra $25 a week or $100 a month towards that you can use towards your insurance. And there's nothing
Okay.
wrong with that. And that's a nice advantage. And that creates that advantage for your employees. And there's not a lot of paperwork for you. So that's one way to go at that.
Yes. Yes. Because sometimes I believe you're looking forward to make money, but you have to think about the other people who is working too.
The people that make you the money, that's very important.
People, yes.
You're absolutely right.
But suppose you cannot be at the store 27, like when you open and you're looking. We have to look for our own worker, somebody like somebody who can manage the store when we are not there, or to control what is going on at the store.
We would want you to hire the people, obviously, but we'll help you advertise for them. I can even, on occasions, I've helped screen the resumes for people, but you always want to make the final hiring decision because there are people who are going to be working directly for you. You want to be comfortable with them. But we can help you with the process of finding them, certainly.
Okay.
And
I have a
those
quick
are all things that we do
question.
in training. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
I was wondering, do you guys offer like a company that would do like a credit repair? Let's say we're a little bit off from the 700. Do you guys have like a company where if we go with them, then we guarantee that we will buy a store through you guys? You know, um, like a credit repair type stuff.
Okay, I understand. What we have is several of our lenders actually will do the credit repair with you. Um,
Right.
I'm not as opposed to somebody that just does credit repair.
No.
Sometimes,
Exactly what you're saying. Like
yeah,
a lender that does the repair.
yes,
I mean, that helps you. And
yeah,
then let's
yeah.
say we get our credit to where, but we sign a contract stating that when we get to that level, that we promise to buy a store with you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
Like,
we
do you
don't.
guys offer
You know,
that type?
we don't even ask you to do that. We would put you in contact with the lender, and you would reach an agreement with the lender. If there's a charge for their credit repair, whatever that is, because
Mhm.
that's they're a third party. They're not part of our company. So, no, you wouldn't. We
Okay.
hope that you would
The
develop a
reason
store with
why
us.
the reason why I asked is because our situation is similar to the young lady that spoke earlier. We just purchased a new house. We just purchased 3 new vehicles,
Ah,
so it kind of like dropped our credit down, a a, a bit. But we were told by our financial advisor that once we start making our payments and all that, it
comes
should
right.
jump back up.
Yeah, and it will absolutely.
So yeah, so we were trying to see, like, do you think we should wait to jump on this, or do you think, because we don't want to go through the whole process of, getting a store and then,
Right, being excited and can't get the
yeah,
lender, get a
right,
loan. Yeah, that's
you
me.
know
I
what I
was
mean?
talking about
I
that
Because
for the
understand.
house and stuff. Yeah, because I'm definitely ready and
me
have some
too,
money saved up. But like you just said, we bought houses and cars
right,
and opened up credit cards like Home Depot and
yes,
Menards to fix up houses and everything. So
right.
yeah, it's going up slowly, but the
It's
score is
so
not
funny
where
that
it
you said
was.
that because when you were saying it, I was like, wow, that's the same thing that we're going through, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, the score
Yeah,
going back up, but it's not going up as quickly and it's not where
Yes.
it was. So I'm a little hesitant to even get started if I still need to be working on my credit first.
Right,
I,
because I don't want to get excited and then they tell me, oh, you have too much on your credit right now. You have to, you know
Right.
what I mean? So
yeah.
I wanted to see, like, is there a budget that you guys want us to be at? You know?
It
And a minimum score.
Yeah,
the
right.
good questions. As I said earlier, it depends on your score, but also depends on your debt to income ratio. There's a number of factors that play into it, and everybody's credit profile is going to be different. And as you say, you can wait, but it's never a bad idea to start the process. Um, if nothing else, you'll know if you can't go forward now, you'll know approximately when you could.
What's a fix?
Yeah,
Right.
Well,
exactly.
yeah, that is
So,
true.
so
Right.
to do an application, put a deposit in place for 3 or 4 days probably is a good investment. You're going to get it right back anyway. Or if you're close, you may say, well, let's leave it in place. Let's let this percolate for 30 days or so, and let's see where we are.
Right.
But at
And
least
they'll
then you
tell us
kind of
what we
know.
need
Yeah,
to
then you
fix
can have a
and what
roadmap.
the
Yeah, I got to wait 4
right.
months or whatever
Exactly.
that is. Because as we sit here, none of us,
Okay.
we just don't know.
Sounds good.
Okay,
So
good.
I have another question.
Yes.
So me and my husband, he has the credit, and I want to be partnership in this too. But
Okay.
if they do both of our credit, 9 times out of 10, mine is gonna make it turn down. So if let's say, would I still be able to be on that without, you know, or will it be only
Will he be able
under
to
my
add
husband?
her later or something?
Right, right.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Can he add after he get approved?
You mean as far as the loan?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
No. Oh.
Probably not on the loan, but ownership. Maybe we
Yeah,
can
ownership.
bring her
That's
in
it.
for ownership.
Yeah.
Ownership is
Yeah.
no issue at all. We would make you a partner in our paperwork, absolutely. But
Okay.
as
Okay.
far as the lender, I
Oh.
don't know that could happen.
Yeah, the
Okay. No,
bank wouldn't
he
do it,
can
but
do
he
the
can bring her
lending
in as
part,
the
and I'll
ownership.
do.
Once the loan is signed and finalized, then
Right,
he owns.
exactly.
Yeah, that's
But
not
as
going to
far
change.
as
Okay.
the business
Yeah, in other words,
operational part, yeah.
our paperwork with you,
Right,
and
he could bring
certainly
in
when you
as the
sign the
business.
lease, you would be a full partner. Yes,
Okay.
Right, as a
Cool.
business partner, but not on the loan. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, he could have the
Okay.
loan part.
Right. Exactly. Give him all the bills. Exactly.
I'm going to assume
He
he's
can
not
have
on
the
the
loan
call.
part. Now, I just want the ownership part.
I'm going to assume your husband is not on the
So I
call
have
right
another
now.
question.
Yes, go ahead.
I have yes. So can anyone credit score be too low?
I'm sorry, say that again. I didn't get all of that. I'm sorry.
Can anyone's credit score be too low?
Can be too
What is
low?
a too low credit score?
Y-
Yes,
Yeah, well, yeah,
anyone's
certainly
credit score be
you
too
can
low to
a
get
score can
approved.
be too low. I just don't know what. Yeah, it can be too
I'm
low.
saying,
I don't know.
huh?
I'm not sure how to answer that question. Yes, your credit score can be too low, but I don't know what too low
I
would
mean,
be.
You mean
for
like
your
bad credit?
lender. I'm saying,
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
I was trying.
okay,
Are you
I'm
talking about
saying,
a below average credit score, like a low credit score that will disqualify a person?
yeah, right.
I would say 600 or lower probably disqualifies you for the moment. But again, there's ways to build your credit. Well, here's what I
You said
always say is,
600 can disqualify you?
yeah, here's what I'm always going to say. Never assume that you can't get financed. It's worth investigating it,
Okay.
doing the app and deposit just to see if you can't, what you need to do to get there. I've seen so many people over the years I've been here that absolutely didn't think they could get financing to build a store, and then 6 months later, a year later, they're store owners. So you never quite know. And we can talk about credit scores and depth of credit and debt to income ratio all night long, but at the end of the day, everybody brings a different profile to the table. So whatever I tell you is not going to be accurate for the person sitting next to you, or maybe not even for you, because I don't know really anything about your credit profile. So that's why the only way to get the accurate answer is to like I say, do the application. You'll know within 48 hours what you can and can't do, and if you need to do some work to get the score up, what that looks like. It's the only way to get to the answer.
What's the minimum amount for the loan, or not even for a loan to get up and running? Like if you want to do all cash without a loan, what's the minimum amount that I would need
Okay.
to
If you want to do it,
bring?
if you want to do 1,000 square foot store at 76,900.
That's the minimum.
Yeah, and then you need some working capital on top of that, probably another 15,000. So about 95,000 we would want you to have to be able to go forward. and know you have not only the purchase price of the store, of course, but more importantly, the working capital and so forth to establish your business once you find a location. Because you're going to have rent deposits, you're going to have utility deposits, you're going to want to have a little bit of a war chest to pay your employees for the first couple of weeks till the store gets off the ground and so on. So.
Right. So those come from would that come from me, or is it going to be part of the loan?
Most often it can be part of the loan.
Okay. To cover operational expenses.
Exactly.
First couple of months. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we estimate all that and give you what we believe you need to have on hand before you ever start looking at locations, so that you're comfortable with the funds that you have and you know that you have sufficient amount of money to go forward.
Yeah, but how much in all? If somebody don't need a loan and you're going to do it on your own with cash.
Say you'd still need the same amount of money.
Yeah, 96,000.
Yeah,
he said
whatever that number is. Yeah.
So the 96,000, everything is in it. Have money for electricity or rent.
Your rent paid up. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All your startup funds would be in there. Yes.
Oh, that's a lot, but okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Because the rent supposed to be going to be different for everybody, you know.
Yeah, and that's why
California is very expensive.
Yep, and that's why we do that worksheet for each individual person before we have you move forward and decide location. We estimate the rents, for example, the rent deposits based on where you are. Your rent deposits may be higher than somebody that's in Oklahoma, if you're in California, for example. So yeah, we do that worksheet, and it's very specific to where you are in terms of the rent deposits, what we know the landlords are probably going to ask for, and so on. So. Okay. Any other questions?
Hey, what's the average? How big? Let's say I'm interested in a $2 or $3 concept. What's the average price on that? I know it's probably on the website.
Yeah, no, that's okay. If you were going to do the 1, 2, 3 at 1,000 square feet, just to use that size for a minute, it's 81,000. Bigger. 2,000, 3,000.
That big box.
Okay, well, let's say at 3,000 square feet, it's 148.9. All right. Well, thank you all for your time this evening. Excellent questions. I really appreciate them. Remember, if you do get your deposit in by next Wednesday, you're eligible for that $2,000 in free merchandise when you open your store. Please call your sales representative. His name and number will be on the bottom of the email invitation that you received. And you can always call me. My name is John LaFronz, and my number is on there as well with any questions you might have. And look forward to hopefully working with some of you, hopefully all of you, to open a store. And again, if you have questions, reach out to me, reach out to your sales representative. And thank you again for your time this evening.
North America's largest developer of dollar stores. Over 4,600 stores open since 1993. For more information, visit our website at dollarstoreservices.com.